What's up, everybody? Okay, let's talk hip hop. And of course, the world today. Listen to this beautiful fucking beat, huh? Guys, I'm really from the Middle East, y'all. I really grew up here, okay? I know the way of the sword. Let's go. Yalla, yalla. Let's go. All right. Enough of that shit. Free smoke, free smoke. Free smoke, free smoke. And that's what it seems like right now the U.S. has for, of course, Syria. As we speak, the U.S. is conducting airstrikes in Syria. Yo, my people's in Syria, you know who you are. I hope you're safe. You know, what you're seeing is Islam getting very bold. I'll get into that in a quick second. Of course, we have this garbage here in the city. Three silly Muslims who are, of course, trying to target the weak because they will never target people who actually have the guns. You know, go to the IDF, fuck around, get smoked. So they're never gonna do that. But that's the Islamic way. It's cowardice at its core. It's always it's to attack the weak, right? Brutality, super sharp brutality at those who can't defend themselves. That's the Islamic way. That's why you gotta have the biggest guns and you gotta clap back fast. They scurry like rats. It is what it is. And speaking of that, we also have this situation that occurred. I'll just play it for you real quick.
News last night, a young Hindu man named Deepo Chandra Das was surrounded by an Islamist mob because of an alleged insult posted online about their prophet. He was beaten, he was tortured, he was tied to a tree and burned alive. The crowd didn't even hide it.
Of course not.
They filmed it. They shared it.
Understandable.
They celebrated it.
Absolutely. You see, that's what the Muslims want. They want to be able to do this in our country. Fuck no, that will never happen. But in their world, they can do that, right? Do you understand how this works? To be a Muslim is to try to kill and subjugate the kafir, the kuffar, the filthy kuffar. That's their whole religion, really and truly at its core, right? It's most of it, more than 50% of their religion is about you, the kafir. It's not about them. Now, why do I bring this up? Because someone will go, oh, that's political. It's not political. It's civilizational. You don't want people in your country that want to destroy your civilization. It's not political, bro. It's way beyond that. Political is you and I have a difference of opinion on gun control, birth control, how the roads. Ultimately, we can vehemently disagree, but hopefully we can get a beer afterward. And hopefully there will be a road. There will be rap music to enjoy afterward because we both want to go home to our houses to be with our loved ones, right? To enjoy our entertainment because we both want the West to still be there when we're done arguing. But the difference is that's political. What you have with Muslims and communists is civilizational. They want to destroy all of this. So if it's up to the Muslims, there will be no rap music. There will be no tochiRTA channel. Do you guys understand how this works? The same thing with the communists, right? There won't be none of this shit. These people, their ideologies need to be rooted the fuck out. Or at least put back in the dustbin, right, where it belongs. Okay? Because it's dustbin talk. It's dustbin thinking. That's why this shit is important, and that's why I mention it. Because it goes way beyond politics. You don't see me on here talking about anything else in terms of world news or politics, and I don't have to. I'm not going to argue with somebody on the internet about my political leanings, whether I'm more left or more right, because it's irrelevant. We're talking about a civilizational problem that's coming to destroy us. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense, okay? Anyway, speaking of this beat and why I even played it, aside from the fact that it has that Middle Eastern vibe to it, is the fact that, you know, we all know a good beat when we hear one. I would argue, or at least not maybe we all, but certainly hip hop heads, people who love hip hop, who seek it out, who really and truly listen to it on a deeper level. Like, we kind of know. Again, we won't all like the same shit necessarily, but we know quality when we hear it. We know that this Clipse beat is pretty good, all things considered, right? I don't think it's the greatest beat, but it certainly stands out in the sea of whack beats, right? And so that brings me to Erick Sermon, who dropped the Dynamic Duos Volume 1. I just got around to listening to this shit. And I have to say, let me start off with the one thing that I want to say that's actually very positive. And shout out to Erick Sermon, one of the GOATs, absolutely. Top 15, top 12, one of the absolute best hip-hop producers we've ever seen. His work with EPMD speaks for itself, right? And all the productions he's done after that. So he sounds like he's been holding on to these rapper verses for quite a while, because Snoop sounds great. Even my man from Cypress Hill, Be Real, PMD. Shout out to PMD, very underrated rapper of PMD of EPMD. He sounds excellent. So even Chuck D, none of these scratchy, washed vocals. They all sound like, the vocals sound very, very crisp and very. In fact, it sounds like they were. I don't know if they were recorded 20 years ago or so, but they definitely sound in good shape. And so I appreciate that. So I have to say that in itself was, I don't know if that's a coaching thing or that's a recording thing or whatever he did with that. That's a positive, okay? People don't sound washed, okay? But the issue here is that these beats are too clean and they're mediocre. They're not terrible, but they're whack, because ultimately you're never going to go back to them because they're just very mediocre. They sound like a imitation Dre of sorts. And I know that Erick Sermon is a big Dre fan, but that's partly part of the problem. They're just too clean. They're too generic. There are some songs on here that are okay. If you kind of want to get a sense of what I'm talking about, listen to Like That with Snoop Dogg. I think that's probably the best song on here. But again, it's not a song I'll ever come back to. Like That, if you want to hear how smooth and just alive and rugged the PMD sounds, Test Me, I would recommend checking that out. And then lastly, Back to the Party featuring Salt and Pepper. So those are sort of like the okay-ish, but they're not, again, I don't think those songs are great by any stretch of the imagination. But it's just unfortunate that the beats don't quite hit. And the snares are just, they always feel muted, so they don't hit as hard as I'd like, Like, even when Erick Sermon was going through that sort of clean phase, he still had hard beats, right? So here's what I mean. I should probably have put this beat. Dun, 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 dun. I'm pretty sure he did this beat. But I love this fucking beat back then. This is Erick Sermon for sure. See that slap? The snare. You know what I'm saying? This is when Erick Sermon started making that clean shit, but it still had that. Let's go. This is just, and I know he's saying I want to bring it back to up-tempo, and I agree. Hip-hop needs to come back to the up-tempo. This slow shit is terrible. But if you're gonna do the slow shit, make it rugged, right? I want to see the funk lordy PMD. Like Erick Sermon. Remember, this guy that had this, the old lady going nuts in the video. This is hard. This, in a way, funny enough, is even more suitable for the current generation because of things having slow. I mean, like, I can imagine SGP rapping on some shit like this, really and truly, right? So even though it's boom bap and it's a different swing than the dark Memphis funk, but it's still got that dark funk vibe to it, right? Where is this Erick Sermon? Look at this shit. Oh, I fucking love this record. 1 million views. This shit was an album cut on a soundtrack. No video. Erick Sermon, that tells you something. This is the shit right here. Listen to this. My hands wind it up. 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 Wind it up. Let's go.
Hush, I'm coming through with the bum rush. Killers for style and dealers cold crush. What? My style's ridiculous. Who's getting with that spectacular, miraculous? What to Lexus? I'm from New York. I'm flowing like Don P. Someone pop the cork. Not feeling me for real though. I'm the one who came from the back and blew the brains out of Al Pacino.
Hard. Now, I don't expect, I mean, that's that was 30 years ago. Erick Sermon doesn't probably have the power or the vocal power to do that anymore. But again, you can get back to that. There are ways to get back to at least the beat, right? That funk, that dark funk, right? Again, that's what's hot in its own way, right? I just think that when producers like Erick Sermon started to chase this clean sound that was dominating in the late 90s to early 2000s onward, right? With Neptunes, obviously they were killing it. Dre was killing it. But, when you look back on all that, like, a lot of producers fell off trying to get their shit cleaner. And if you notice, the people that didn't do that, whether it be like Primo, for example, are the ones that we consider GOATs now, who have that legendary status. Because you have to stick to what works. If something works, stick to that shit. You update your formula with the times, as I always quote Guru saying that shit, right? You have a formula. Once you have something that works, and I'm talking about musically works, right? Not like works in terms of like you were trying to go viral, you're trying to do something for clout, and then it works for clout, and then you keep doing that shit. That's stupid. I'm talking about something musically that defines you, that makes you go, oh my God, that makes people go, oh my God, I can't get enough of that shit. That's incredible. Just keep doing that and update it. So all in all, this album was a disappointment. I wasn't expecting much because ultimately Erick Sermon has previous albums that are also in that vein. They're very clean kind of sounding, and they weren't good. And they're forgettable, just like this one will be forgettable. And I hate to say that because I do think that the verses were okay. Like the vocal production and even the way he produced the vocals were pretty decent, So if Eric, again, I always email me if you need somebody in your camp who's not going to dick ride, who will give you an honest opinion. Because I can tell you what's a dope beat. I've been listening to your stuff. I know all your shit, right? The point is, the next time for Volume 2, make sure the beats are on point. Because clearly you have some good vocals and you've sealed them in a jar, right? That's good. But find the right beat and make something that really is going to capture our attention. And then I think you'll have something that's like stronger than a lot of hip-hop albums, okay? So that is Erick Sermon. Now, I wanted to point out real briefly, the idea behind him sort of producing all these different classic rap acts, which is kind of why it's like features and features. It's an interesting idea. I don't know if anyone's, producer albums are like this, which is why they're not really obviously cohesive. It's almost kind of like it's a kind of shopping thing. It's like, here, like I can do this kind of beat with this person, this kind of beat with this person, and so maybe that person or others can look and be like, oh, you kind of make that beat, and that's sort of similar to what I would want to hear, so I'll buy a beat off you. I get it. It's almost like a shopping catalog kind of vibe. But again, this is not great. So let's try to at least have one great beat afterwards in the next one. All right. Now we talked to 21 Savage. He has a new album out. This was trash. I mean, look, you can look at the album cover and you know that you're here for some bullshit, right? I mean, this album cover is goofy, right? This is there's no effort here, okay? This is some corny meme shit, okay? This is kind of the problem. So if you don't put in the effort, why would I put in the effort as a listener? I Ghostface my way through this shit, okay? Now, ugly ass album cover aside, the first track on here, Where You From, is probably the best song on here, even though it's not great. I wouldn't listen to this ever again. But if I heard it in the club once or twice, I'm sure someone might try to play it. Maybe, because it's the most sort of animated at 21 Savages. He sounds sort of aggressive on it, but it's not great. And then there's dog shit with Glorilla. I like Glorilla, but again, not a good song, right? But overall, this was terrible. This Zaytoven beat was absolute garbage. Put me to sleep. The whole thing was it had this very sort of bedtime, all pillows matter type of vibe. So I Ghostface my way through it, no doubt. I do want to point out, before I head out here on this album, so 21 Savage basically rhymes over the stop being greedy beat. I call it the stop being greedy beat. You'll notice actually the beginning of that beat also is the original version of Ghostini. So this is the original version of Ghostini, but luckily didn't make it to the album because I think the album version of Ghostini on Supreme Clientele is way better. But that's beside the point. Okay, whatever. Okay. This trap thing is a little generic, but whatever. Okay, let's go. And it just keeps going. They're like, okay, this is fucking boring and generic, right? And you're basing this on one of the most classic rap records, right? Stop Being Greedy. The difference is night and fucking day, man. Look. I mean, I have the instrumental here, but I actually want to show you something here. I don't know if there's a comment I found really interesting. I mean, the beat immediately gets you because it just has a better groove. But the beat does something very special. As for those of y'all who know this song, you know what I'm talking about. This is all great, but this isn't even the best part of the beat, in my opinion. This is the part. It was like, whoa. That shit. Or I'm telling you, this guy who was like, yo, about Lost My Mind when the song hit the streets in 98. Yes, we had this CD. Imagine you listen to shit, you're like, what the fuck? I remember somebody said, was there a comment? Oh, I couldn't find it on here. They don't make beats like this anymore, man. They're like, it sounds like a scientist playing with your mind. Some Frankenstein shit. That's why this beat was crazy. That's exactly, and again, he plays on that Jekyll and Hyde in the video. These guys are smart people. They're doing this shit. Okay? The guys who made the Step Brothers beat, fucking lazy. They're not paying attention. Generic. So I'm tired of that shit. Anyway, not feeling that album. I did try to listen to I tried to listen to New Music Friday on HipHopDX every now and then. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm not checking out some new shit. Even though, you know me, I stay in them streets. so I know what's hot before most youngs know what's hot. But that's beside the point. Even their new shit. This is why I'm the best hip-hop reviewer online, period. Because I know the old shit. I go back to Furious 5 and Treacherous 3, the Treacherous Tether. Shout out to the person who came up with that. The Treacherous Tether right here. Okay, I go back from there to whatever you want to do. Playboy Cardi, whatever. Monaleo, I know all that shit, okay? Most of it now is total garbage. Total garbage, as this list proves. If you try to listen to this, I guarantee you're going to be like, wow, all of this shit's terrible. No one cares about the music. When you go on HipHopDX, it's about who's fucking who's engaged to who said this about someone else. That's what this is about. And then you have to kind of find, oh yeah, there's a music section. And then you try to listen to music and it's trash. All of these Lil Uzi Vert garbage ass songs, garbage. ASAP Ferg, I didn't even listen to all. I didn't listen to this shit. I think there was a song that he had a video for that was trash. I didn't even bother with that after that. So, is it Ferg or is it ASAP Ferg? Like, come on, man. Central C, this was terrible. Stove God Cooks doing trap-ish things, whatever. That's garbage. This I did not listen to because it's Hit Boy. You know, the problem is people aren't even listening to this music, right? And this is why I say, like, we need to get more critical. Because, look, the bots will fool you, right? The bots will fool you. Oh, yo, you don't even like it. You know, you're a hater. But the bots aren't listening to this stuff. You know, like, Nas and Primo, they're arguably someone is saying that their shit went, you know, triple Hit Boy, right? Like, they sold like 5K or some shit. Let me see what I can find on Twitter. I mean, Twitter is not exactly, you know, something that you can trust. But They're saying he sold 5K. 5K? That's triple Hit Boy. That's Ocean Plastic. Now, again, as I asked before, is it whack enough? Because whack is the new ill, right? So maybe what we need now is for Nas to do 20 albums with Primo. I think this is the time. Hit Boy got, what, 6 or 7? Okay. So let's do double, right? Like, let's make it like, let's flood the sea with with plastic. Guys, people are not listening to this shit. The bots will come in and, hype your shit up, put the fire emojis. Those are the true haters, by the way. I'm telling you. You might say, yo, told you you're tough, but I'm a lover, and you can tell. If I genuinely like something, I'll tell you it's dope, and I'll buy that shit. I'll stream that shit. The haters aren't even listening to the shit. They're just putting fire emoji and then coming and attacking other people who are actually listening to that shit to try and prevent them from listening to your shit. That's a hater, so that they can probably laugh behind your back about how whack your shit is. Anyways, but, love you in your face and all that. But the point is, we got to get better, man. These albums are terrible. They really are. They're very, very bad. I will certainly do a recap. I'm just waiting a couple of days before Christmas, and I'll hit you with my best songs of the year. You probably know what I'm going to pick, but I'm curious if you, type it out in the comments. What do you think? I mean, I already sort of put a little thing in my comment section about the songs I listened to the most of the year, but I don't think any of them were really from this year, with the exception of one, and that's, with an asterisk. So let me know what you think were your favorite songs, or what you think of the Erick Sermon and 21 Savage album, if you happen the chance to listen to it, or if you are at all worried about the bearded crazy ones with their crazy ideology coming down on your country. Well, if it's not, it doesn't worry you, then it doesn't worry you, right? But certainly I think it's definitely a threat to the West, and certain that we have to start fighting back. Enough is enough. I have lived in their world. I understand how they think. When I was in Saudi, and Saudi Arabia is actually one of the better places. I have to shout out Saudi Arabia, especially from what I'm hearing now, right? So they have basically improved, right? But at this stage, they have essentially kind of let go of this Islamic, to a certain extent. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but a lot of these other countries, man, whether it be Qatar or Turkey, they're all funding garbage. Iran, of course, and they have money. They have oil and gas money. That's why we put up with this garbage. That's why our politicians are bought so easily, and you have these B-list celebrities and stuff who get bought. Don't get it twisted. And the Muslims know that. Unfortunately, it's life. Money talks. They know people are purchased. Because otherwise, who the fuck would want, Prophet Muhammad vibes? I don't want that shit. That totalitarian, pedophilic, warlord garbage. I don't have time for that. Like, no one in the West has time for that. You know what I mean? So, but if you don't have the knowledge of what this stuff is about, you can't fight back against your politicians. You can't hold them to a standard, because obviously the politicians are selling us out. They know what they're doing, and they're getting the bag. But for you to know, you gotta know. All right. So stay happy, stay motivated. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all that. As much as the world seems like it's falling apart, look, listen, people are getting wiser, and as long as you stay motivated, stay positive, but not positive and ignorant and sort of like head in the ground on some ostrich shit. But I mean, stay positive and, okay, I see the threat, but at the same time, I'm not going to wallow in it. I'm going to understand it and be vigilant, but I'm also going to live my life and, hang out with those I love and enjoy the things I enjoy, because that's how we win, right? That's how we win against the darkness. All right, y'all. Darkness is... Peace.